What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio. This is the breakdown for UFC Vegas 29. We have the Korean Zombie going against Dan Ige. And yeah, I'm exhausted. I totally forgot that today was Tuesday because I've been, breaking down this card nonstop. Me and Uncle Weezy did a show on Sunday. Clint asked me to come on his show on Monday. I had to do the breakdown, by myself as well. So I think I'm ready to go. I've broken on this card down like 3 times already, and it's a Tuesday. So on this video, we'll focus, more on the betting aspect and the Draftkings as well. I'm not going to go into much detail because I feel like I've been talking about this card for a while now. So what's up, everybody? If you guys can please leave a like on this video. Let's get those likes up. Also subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio. I have a lot of content throughout the week. We just got 7K subscribers on Pub Sports, so thank you guys so much for that. That's awesome. Great milestone to have. Like I said, me and Uncle Weezy did that Sunday show. We went into a lot of depth on all the fights. We did lose a fight as well. We lost the Means and Roberts fight, and I guess Tim Means is now fighting somebody else on the next card. I saw who it was. I forget who it was, but I know Means is fighting next week. But we're down to 12 fights, so it makes it a little bit easier for DraftKings. Last week was crazy. I mean, I think the winning lineup had like over 3,000 salary left. It just, a lot of these big pump plays last week won. Moreno did really good. Vittori did pretty good even in a loss. McKinney did really good. Guys like that. There's one more, I think, that Paul Craig. Paul Craig did really good as well. So, all 3 of those guys were in the optimal lineup. So if you left a ton of salary on the table, you probably did well. If not, it was hard to do very good. I left some salary on the table. I think I left like 500 at least on each lineup, but I didn't expect to leave like thousands on the table. So what's up, Tajik, the GOAT? What fight is canceled? The fight that canceled is the Means and Roberts fight, which kind of sucks. I had the Means under in that fight. But we'll get to see Means next week. I think that Roberts did pull out due to injury, which sucks because we haven't seen Roberts fight in a long time. What's up, Uncle Weezy? Let's go, Brady. DK salaries are out. Let's break it down. I agree. The Gaming Wolf, what's up, Brady? The salaries aren't half bad for DK. Yeah, I can't wait to break it down. I was looking at the salaries and all that, doing my research earlier. Kind of liking this week from a DK perspective. Only can talk so much about Josh Parisian. Yeah, that's a crapshoot of a fight for sure, but we'll break it down anyway. Jack Attack in the building. What's up, Jack Attack? We got Big Show picks in the building as well. What's good, Brady? What's up, Big Show? Hopefully you're doing well. I switched on Glenn Silva after hearing grown man asked to be called Ricky from now on. Not a bad look. Not a bad look. Okay, so we'll get into it here. We'll start the first fight of the night. Laura Procopio going into Casey O'Neill. I'm not sure if this is going to be the first fight of the night because I've seen the bout order change like 5 times already. So hopefully this is it. And I'm not going to have much action on this card from a betting perspective. I think this card is not the best card to be laying a lot of money on. But the one bet I do have is Laura Procopio, and I feel pretty confident in that bet as well. To sum it up, I mean, Casey O'Neill, I think she has a lot of hype on her. For one, she's going to be the better looking fighter. That's always going to have some hype. And 2, she looked really, really good in her first fight in the UFC. But we got to take a look at who she fought, and that was Shanna Dobson, who is now retired. And in that fight, she had a 0% takedown defense going into it, and she actually left with a better percentage takedown defense at 14 now after stuffing 2 of those O'Neill takedowns. So, yes, she looked very, very good. Yes, she looked impressive. Yes, she looked dominant. Yes, she got a finish, but it was against Shanna Dobson. So I think we have to take that into consideration. Whereas Procopio, she made her UFC debut in 2019 against Carol Rosa up a weight class, and that really impressed me because she went strike for strike with Rosa. She even won the fight on one of the judges' scorecards as well, which is very impressive to me. I personally scored, all 3 rounds for Rosa, but still, Procopio was pretty close. A lot of those rounds were close. So, Procopio, I favor her everywhere. I think she's the better striker, lots of volume. She's not the best defensively, but, better striking defense than O'Neill, who has literally 0 striking defense. I think she's the better grappler by a significant margin. Well, the thing that's close is going to be the wrestling. I think the wrestling's pretty close. I think O'Neill's wrestling, could be a little bit overrated. We saw Procopio go out against Molly McCann and take her down 7 times. So honestly, I favor her in the wrestling as well. So I favor her in every single aspect, the experience, level of competition. I just think it's that hype of Casey O'Neill. I think it's because she's the better looking fighter that we see the line where it's at now. So we'll take a look at the odds here. And I bet Procopio at -121, and that line is no longer there. It's now -150, and -150, -161. And I kind of expect it to keep getting wider and wider as the week goes on. You take a look at the Tapology predictions. It's like 80% O'Neill. which, it kind of makes me feel even better because I remember like 80% Ron Hooper last week. But yeah, give me Procopio. I don't mind her in DraftKings as well. On DraftKings, she has 8,500. I think she's going to get takedowns, control time. And if it is on the feet, I think she's going to throw a ton of volume. As far as O'Neal, I mean, she's a decent play. If she does go out there, if she is able to take down Procopio, I just don't see it. I think Procopio wins this one. And like I said, I don't have much action on this card, but Procopio is a bet that I'm really liking. I'm really looking at this week. So let's see what we got in the chat here. We have a donation, Tajik, the GOAT. Thank you. Little appreciation for all the great work. You do appreciate that, Tajik. You're the man. I got Nick in the chat. Big booty bitches. I like it. Some Jack Attack. Maybe Billy is your next co-host. Yeah, he could be. Billy was on just last week. I didn't have time to find a guest this week. Casey got a flabby ass. My goodness, PayPal. I got Procopio starting a parlay. Yeah, I have her straight -121. I like that line quite a bit. I think she wins by decision. But yeah. So we'll move on to the next fight here. We have Joaquim Silva versus Ricky Glenn. Yeah, tough fight to call. I mean, we have Ricky Glenn taking about a 3-year layoff, Silva taking about a 2-year layoff. I'm going to pick Silva ever so slightly. I think he's the more dangerous fighter. I think he's a better striker as well. Ricky Glenn is very, very hittable. You can see it there in the stats. He does absorb 4.29, gives out 4.31. So yes, he's throwing a lot of volume. He hit quite a bit. I don't know if you want to get hit quite a bit against Joaquim Silva, who is very dangerous, So Ricky Glenn has never been knocked out in 27, 28 fights, but we have seen him hurt. We have seen him dropped by guys like Kevin Aguilar in his last fight. So I think Silva maybe doesn't finish him, but I think he can, knock him down a time or two. I think he wins a decision. 8,300 on DraftKings. It isn't horrible. It's not a fight that I'm overly looking forward to targeting on DK, but I have a little bit of Silva. As far as Glenn, maybe I have a little bit, underdog price, 7,900 is a little bit intriguing. He's going to throw a lot of volume. Maybe he does get a takedown or two, but I do like the Silva side myself. As far as a betting perspective, I would never bet this fight ever. I think that a lot of money's coming in on Silva. Silva opening up -150, currently -130. Glenn opening up +120, currently +110, went down all the way to -105. So some money as of late is coming on the Silva side, and I do agree with that. But personally, I would not bet this fight. There's just too many unknowns. These guys are coming off huge layoffs. I think Laura might be the first fight of the night officially. I don't think they might have changed. We shall see, but it looks final. I hope it's final. But yeah, first fight of the night, I'll be targeting Procopio. Hit that share button. I agree. Let's hit it. Let's hit the like button as well. PayPal laughing in the chat. Yeah, PayPal, you are on. Yeah, we'll talk about your fight in a little bit, PayPal. Maybe not a good fight to target on DK. Probably just bet it straight. Yeah, if you like Silva, bet him straight. It's not a great fight to target on DK. I wouldn't think, but I think there's better fights to target. All right, so moving on to the next fight, we have Josh Parisian going against Roque Martinez. I like Parisian. Some things I want to point out is going to be the reach advantage of 7 inches and the height advantage of 6 inches, and also the volume of Josh Parisian. In 3 fights, he does average 7.46 compared to Martinez's 2.67, but a lot of that was because he has been taken down and controlled for a good amount of time. But still, that's a lot of volume for a heavyweight. I guess the one concern I have for Parisian is going to be that cardio. The cardio is just not great. I think Martinez, honestly probably has the cardio advantage, but I think the reach, the height, the length, the volume is going to be enough to beat Martinez here. It's just, does he finish Martinez? I don't know. Martinez is very tough. He's only been knocked out 2 times officially, and I think one of those was because of like a cut stoppage. So very tough. I think Parisian wins. I think he wins, honestly, by decision. I do want to take a look and see what the decision line is for Parisian. Probably something good. They're heavyweights. Parisian by decision is +325, +350, +275. It's not horrible. Martinez is very, very durable. A lot of people do like that over 1.5 as well. I was looking at it. I saw it at -150. I passed on it. It's now -180. No point really going there now. But if you do like the over 1.5, not horrible. -155 on sports. -154 on William Hill. I'd probably take the -155, but -180 is getting a little bit too steep for me. But I'll take Parisian. As far as DK, I don't hate it. I mean, they're heavyweights. Maybe we do see a finish, and Parisian's going to have a ton of volume as well. So I don't hate Parisian, 8,700. As far as Martinez, I just don't see it. I mean, the guy, he's tough, he's durable, but I do think he's going to have a lot of disadvantages in this fight. So I'll take Parisian, and I will have a little bit on DK, nothing from a betting perspective for me. Martinez, slows down too. Yes, he does. He sure does. What's up, Clint? Was on Die Hard podcast last night. Did you check the Instagram on Parisian? No, I got to check that. I'll check it right now. But yeah, me and Clint did a show. I came in on short notice. I think it worked out pretty well. Josh, hopefully he's easy to find. Hopefully he doesn't have like a weird Ige. There he is. So let's take a look. Okay. Okay. Looks like he's working on that cardio. All right. He's looking solid. That was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, he's looking better. Yeah, so I want to see him at weigh-ins as well. If he looks like really good at weigh-ins, like I thought at the beginning of the week, like this line was pretty off. I thought that Parisian would be like a bigger favorite, like honestly, like a much bigger favorite. So, minus 120 on Bovada, that's not terrible. That's not terrible at all. So is money coming in on Martinez? I don't see why it would be, but yeah, minus 120. That's definitely something to consider. I know it's low level heavyweights, but man, he's going to be so much bigger. So yeah, that's something to definitely look at there. I don't really want to bet this fight, but if it keeps getting closer, like that minus 120 is very, very tempting to me. But yeah, he is looking pretty good as far as Instagram goes. Appreciate that, grateful dude. Thanks for hanging out tonight. I know it's not the best card in the world, but we can still make some money doing it. All right, so next we have probably one of the better fights on the card. We have Chaos Williams going against Matt Semmelsberger. Chaos Williams, 8,900, Semmelsberger, 7,300. I think this is a fight you're probably going to want to target. Some things that really stuck out to me is going to be Semmelsberger, getting knocked out by an 0-0 guy. An 0-0 guy knocked this guy out, and that was just a couple years ago. He has 2 losses. Both are inside the distance. Chaos Williams has never been finished in his pro and amateur career. You take a look at Semmelsberger's amateur career. He got knocked out by William Knight. So this is a guy that has been knocked out, a couple times. He's been submitted a couple times. But I do like seeing that Williams has never, ever been finished, whether it's amateur or pro. I do like seeing that. Chaos Williams is probably going to have the power advantage as well. And I think he has the competition advantage as well. The level of competition is, massively in the Chaos Williams' favor. Kind of went through Semmelsberger in his UFC run so far. Carlton Minus and Jason Witt. I mean, that is, as bottom of the barrel in the UFC that you can get. Whereas you have Chaos Williams, losing to a guy like Michel Pereira, in which was a very, very close fight. He went out there and knocked out Abdulrazak Al-Hassan in 30 seconds. He knocked out Alex Morono in 30 seconds. So I'm much more impressed with the Chaos Williams side of things, and I do think he does finish Semmelsberger. I don't hate the 8,900 on DraftKings. As far as the money line, honestly, it's not horrible. I think there's some love on Semmelsberger. Minus 155, it's not terrible. Yeah. Money line is not awful. I don't hate the KO line as well. Plus 125, not terrible. I'm still waiting for the FanDuel Sportsbook to get some props out. There are some things that I definitely want to look out there, and that Chaos Williams knockout prop might be one of them. But even like Chaos Williams straight is not terrible, minus 155. But the knockout prop is probably where I'm going to look at for this fight. I do think he knocks out Matthew Semmelsberger. But yeah, this fight should be fun. It should be a war. But I do think there's a finish, and I do think that Semmelsberger is more likely to get finished in this fight. So as far as the 7,300 on Semmelsberger, it's not terrible. But I do like the Chaos Williams side a little bit more personally. And I do think he gets it done. Chaos Reigns, yeah, I think he gets it done. I got Davey Grant plus 250. Yeah, very good line because he's like plus 180, like plus 175 now. So yeah, good job. Way to beat the line movement there. I'm probably leaning Chaos. I am as well. Jack Attack got Grant at plus 200. There you go. All right, so we'll get to the next fight, and we have a very interesting one, kind of a clash of styles. We have Jandiroba going against Kanako Murata. And some things I want to point out are Murata, very good wrestler. We saw her come in there in her UFC debut against Randa Marcos, which I believe Randa Marcos is like 10-11 or like 10-12, something like that. So I don't know how much impressive that is, but she did what she needed to do. She went out there and beat Marcos by decision. Jandiroba, I'm very impressed with her. Her losses include one to Mackenzie Dern in a fight that was very close, and then a loss to Carla Esparza in a fight that was very, very close. So, level of competition is significantly in the favor of Jandiroba. Experience, in the favor of Jandiroba. But it's a fun fight because Murata is going to take down Jandiroba where Jandiroba is most comfortable, and that's on the mat. And you take a look at Jandiroba and what she's accomplished. Like, she is very good on the mat. She's an absolute wizard. 13 submission wins in her 16 losses. And guess what Murata's only loss is? It's a by submission. And you can kind of see it. You go through the career of Murata, you watch some of her fights. She's putting herself in so many bad spots. You got to take a look, if you have not yet, at her fight prior to coming to the UFC against, I think it was Emily Ducoit, something like that. Ducoit, something like that. She put herself in like 5 different arm bars. Some serious, dangerous spots that if Jandiroba got her in those same spots, the fight would be over. I mean, Jandiroba is top level BJJ black belt. So Murata really needs to mind her P's and Q's in this fight. I hope she takes down Jandiroba. I don't want it to be 15 minutes of striking. If that happens, it's going to be an awful, awful fight. Both fighters, have really no striking at all. But I do think Murata is going to take her down. At that point, Jandiroba is going to be very live for a submission. She's going to have 15 minutes to find a submission off her back, and I do think she gets it. I do think she gets it. I think it's a pretty terrible matchup. I think Uncle Weezy brought this up on the Sunday show. It's kind of like when Bartosz Fabinski fought Andre Muniz. Like, Fabinski, what he does is he gets the fight down to the mat. And Muniz, what he does is he wants to fight on the mat. And we saw Fabinski take down Muniz right away. And a couple minutes later, Muniz gets a submission. So I can kind of see the same thing happening here. Murata wants to get this fight down to the mat. Jandiroba is completely okay with that. And then she gets armbarred. So I'm calling armbar from guard. Calling it right now. I think she gets a sub. I think it's a interesting matchup because if she does not get the sub, Jandiroba probably loses by decision. So instead of betting the money line, I'm kind of looking at the submission prop for Jandiroba. I'm still waiting for FanDuel Sportsbook to get it out because, BetOnline opened it up at, what they open it up at? Plus 250. So I'm hoping FanDuel Sportsbook opens it up and gives me like plus 300. 5 dimes has plus 275. But if I can get like plus 300 on a sub prop for Jandiroba, I'll take that. If I have to, I might take the plus 250. But yeah, I really do think there's a very good chance that Jandiroba does get a submission in this fight. But it looks like some money's coming in on Murata. Jandiroba now minus 135. She was minus 30 earlier in the day. So, yeah, I do like Jandiroba quite a bit in this spot. I know PayPal is going the other way there. I think we have a profile picture bet on that one as well. If Grant wins this one, it'll be 3 straight underdog cashes for him. Money train. Yep, Grant has been a money train, beating Martin Day and Jonathan Martinez. Next, he faces Marlon Vera. We got the Melon in the chat. XL Melon. What's up, Melon? How you doing? Hello. Some saying Murata is Chinese. She's Japanese. Yep, she is from Japan. Jimmy's tailing Jack in all 12 fights. There you go. Hopefully it works out. Team Davey. You got Grant at plus 250 as well. Yeah, everybody has a bet on Grant this week besides me. Jack's taking Matt Brown. Okay. Exactly. We are due for an armbar from guard in the women's division. 100%. Winner and still handsome, Jandiroba. Yep. Very handsome fighter. She is. Good morning from Thailand. Good morning. Bleed the Bookies MMA. Hopefully you're doing well. All right, so we'll get to the next fight. I didn't even talk about the DraftKings part of it, but yeah, Jandiroba on DK is interesting because I feel like she's going to be on her back quite a bit. But if she does get like a first round or second round submission, maybe she does get a reversal or a sweep. I think that's very likely as well. I actually like Jandiroba quite a bit. As far as Murata, I kind of like her too because if she wins, it's going to be takedowns, control time, strikes as well. So I think both are in play. I think this is one of the more important fights on the card. Hopefully it's a little bit lower owned because it is women's MMA, but I can see the winner of this fight scoring pretty good. 1 second, guys. All right. Next, we have a fight I really don't care about at all. Alexa Kamor going against, we'll call him Nikolai. Call him Nick. Kamor, 25 years old. Nikolai, 26 years old. We have Kamor, 9,300. Nikolai, 6,900. 9,300 is quite a bit to pay for Kamor, who I'm not all that impressed with. And factoring in Nikolai is very tough, very durable, never been knocked out. I can see this getting extended. I don't see Kamor, taking down Nikolai, getting control time, takedowns, nothing like that. So I'm not too interested in the 9,300. If anything, I'll probably play some Nikolai just because there's some unknowns about him. 6,900, very cheap. Nobody's going to play him. maybe he does get takedowns. He's shown some solid takedowns on the regional scene. Remind you, it was against a bunch of bums, but still, maybe Kmore is a bum. Maybe he could take down Kmore because William Knight was able to do that and make it look pretty easy. So I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns in this fight. I'm definitely not touching the Kmore money line. I think you'd be kind of crazy to put him in a parlay or something. But as far as DraftKings goes, I'm kind of looking at the dog here in Nikolai as a pump play just because nobody's going to have him. There is that unknown factor. We have not seen him. He's very young, 26 years old. So in those 2 years off, he could have made some improvements. You never know. And honestly, like watching tape on him, he doesn't look bad. It's just the level of competition is just so horrible that it's hard to gauge where this guy is. So as far as a pick, you got to pick Kmore, but I just hate the price tag from a betting perspective. I hate the price tag from a DraftKings perspective. So it's, dog or pass, at least from DraftKings. I'm definitely not betting Nikolai here, but DraftKings, I will sprinkle a little bit just because of the low ownership, those unknowns, possible takedowns, control time, all that good stuff. But yeah, this is a really big question mark of a fight. I mean, this is a fight I would not recommend laying money on this fight at all. Murata by decision. Yep, if she wins, it is probably by decision. What does salary mean here? Please, we are talking some DraftKings. These are DraftKings salaries here. All right, but yeah, I mean, we can take a look at the props, I guess. I guess it's kind of interesting. Both guys are great finishers, and the fight doesn't go to decision is plus 105, plus 110. Nikolai has a 100% finish rate. Kmore has finished, I think, all but one of his fights. But with that said, neither guy's been finished, so I don't know. I think it probably does go to decision, but I wouldn't be shocked if there was a finish. All right. Next we have Dhiego Lima going against Matt Brown. Man, these fights are so terrible. These fights are bad. But yeah, I do have a bet on this fight actually. So we'll kind of talk about a little bit. We'll go to the finish stats here so we can show you. So go to the finish stats and you can see that Matt Brown has a 91% finish rate. When he is winning more often than not by finish. 64% by knockout, 27% by submission. And look at how many times he has been finished. 10 submission losses for Matt Brown, 3 knockout losses. So that's 13 finish losses out of 18 fights. Then you take a Dhiego Lima, only a 48% finish rate. He does have, I believe, 1 finish in the UFC. But I think if he does win, there's a good chance he does finish Matt Brown here, who is, not durable at all, to say the least. And then you take a look at Lima. He's been finished 5 times out of 8 losses, 4 coming by knockout and 1 coming by submission. So combined between the two, they have an 18 combined finish losses in 63 fights. That's a ton. They're both getting finished quite a bit. I think there's a good chance for a finish here, especially, Matt Brown, he's 40 years old. The durability is definitely not there these days. And if he does win, hey, it's probably a finish. He probably finishes Lima, who has been finished a lot of himself. So instead of picking a side or really betting a side, I think the under is a decent way to look. And we'll take a look at what that line is. So the under sitting at plus 135, plus 124, plus 125, not terrible. Fight doesn't go to decision is plus 110. I do think there's a pretty good chance that this fight does finish. As far as a pick, I'll go Lima, but I would not bet Lima as a favorite ever. 9,000, it's a lot. It's a lot. I do think it'll be really low owned on DK. I do think this is a fight you're probably going to want to target. So I have a little bit. Matt Brown as a pump play is not horrible because, like I said, if he wins 91% finish rate, Matt Brown probably does get it done inside the distance. So, but ultimately, I do like that under. I do like some violence in this fight for sure. I do think there's a solid chance that there's a finish in this fight. Nikolai has been training with Kamzat and Gus for at least a couple of sessions at the PI for what it's worth. Yeah, that's huge, I think. That's huge. Both powerful, lack of durability. Yep. Lima versus Brown sounds like it should have been one of those tough series where they bring the veterans back for one last run. 100% agree. Not a great fight at all, but I do think it does inside the distance. Bleed the Bookies MMA agrees. Brown Lima not to go the distance, and I'm on that as well. I think it's a solid look. Probably better than betting Lima at like minus 170, I'd say. All right, if you guys can hit the like, that'd be sweet. Live every Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. I know this card is not great, but thank you all for hanging out. Really do appreciate that. And then I'm going live on my channel on Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. I'm not sure if there's Bellator this week. I don't think there is. I think there's PFL, though. So that's something to look forward to as well. But yeah, lots of stuff going on. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on it. All right, yeah. So we have another fight that's very interesting. We have Bruno Silva going against Wellington Turman. I think this is honestly like a must-own on DraftKings this week. You have Silva, who is 8,800, making his debut. Turman is 7,400. I like both guys here. I think there's a good chance that somebody gets finished in this fight, whether it's Bruno Silva, who is a very good finisher. I believe he has like I can double check, but I think it's like an 81% finish rate, 84% finish rate by knockout. That is very, very good. And we have seen Turman knocked out by one Andrew Sanchez, who is really not knocking anybody out. So that's a red flag there. But you take a look at Silva in his career, and the guy, I believe he's lost by decision in every single loss he has, which makes this fight really intriguing because Turman, he's a very good BJJ black belt. So if Turman's able to get this fight down to the mat, I think there's a very good chance that he does get a submission here. But that also said, if this stays standing for long periods of time, Silva probably gets a knockout. So I think this is something you're going to want to own. I like both sides. I think either Turman gets it down to the mat, he gets a sub, or Silva stuff the takedowns, keeps on the feet, and gets a knockout. Silva is very dangerous. I like what I see from this guy, but I did not like seeing his submission defense, his ground game. It is very, very bad. I guess he's a brown belt, which is very surprising to me. I went on his Instagram. Solly was a brown belt, and I was like completely shocked because I could not have told you that he was a brown belt just by watching the tape. Like I remember watching one fight where the announcers were literally making fun of him because he had no idea what he was doing on the mat. So I don't know who gave him his brown belt, but that's pretty sketchy because he does not look good on the mat. And I do think if Turman gets it down, he does sub him here. So both sides on DraftKings for me, and yeah, I'm really liking the under in this fight, the under 2.5, and it's at a line that's not horrible at all. Minus 160 fight doesn't go to decision. The under sitting at minus 125, minus 130. That's not horrible. That's not horrible in a fight that has a pretty good chance of finishing, in my opinion. Like either Silva knocks him out or Turman subs him. So that's something to really consider there. I've not pulled the trigger yet, but yeah, I'm pretty tempted on the under. I'm thinking violence here. I think this fight does have a really good chance of ending inside the distance. We also got to remember that Silva's coming off a 3-year layoff as well. That's something else to mention there. But I think violence is probably the way to go. I want to see what Turman by submission is. Turman by submission plus 500. Yeah, that seems off, right? I mean, Silva's been subbed in like 5 or 6 losses, so that seems pretty off. I might be taking a stab at that. Yeah, plus 500. That is very good. Very good. Hopefully FanDuel opens up these props. But yeah, man, plus 500 for Turman by submission. If you like Silva side, plus 135 by knockout, plus 200. They're pretty much all over it. But yeah, I think the under, I think Turman by submission, plus 500 is worth a little poke there. But yeah, I haven't bet it yet. But man, that's something I'm really, really looking at is that under 2.5. Even like the minus 160 fight doesn't go decision is not horrible as well. But it should be a fun fight. I think someone's getting finished though for sure. Big Brady, DM me. Hit me up after the show, bro. I got you, Big Show. I'll hit you up. Turman will absolutely take the fight to the ground face first. You think he's going to get knocked out? That's fine. He very well could. He very well could get knocked out. Big jump going from fighting Victor Rodriguez to Wellington Turman. Huge jump. Huge jump. Rodriguez is not great. I think Rodriguez got cut already too. Tempting to take the underdog in this one. Yeah, I'm kind of tempted as well, but instead of taking that money line, which is plus 120, that sub prop plus 500 is pretty decent. The sub prop on Turman is juicy. Yeah, I mean that's probably how he wins. I mean, Silva has never lost by anything other by submission. Turman getting KO'd, he could. I mean, if Andrew Sanchez can do it, anybody can do it. So that's very likely. Oh yeah, Bruno Silva. Yeah, this is the middleweight Bruno Silva. That was the flyweight Bruno Silva. Two completely different guys. But yeah, if Bruno Silva, the other Bruno Silva, the flyweight, is fought Wellington Turman, it would be a very interesting fight. He would be at quite the weight disadvantage. Jack's just messing around. All right, so we'll get to the next fight, and we have Seung Choi going against Julian Erosa. Another fight where I do like the under in this one, and we shall go to the finish stats to kind of take a look here. So Seung Choi, 56% finish rate, all by knockout, not terrible. He has no knockout wins yet in the UFC, but prior to the UFC, he has quite a few of them. He did get a knockdown in the UFC, was not able to get a finish. But if he is going to get a finish, this is probably the fight to do it against Julian Erosa, who does block punches with his face. Terrible, terrible striking defense for Julian Erosa, and a terrible, terrible chin to go along with it. 4 knockout losses by Julian Erosa. That's a ton. And we look at Seung Choi, he's been knocked out before as well, and he's also been submitted. I also think that there's a pretty solid chance that there's a finish in this fight as well. Julian Erosa, 78% finish rate. When he wins, it's pretty much by finish for the most part. And we have seen Choi is capable of being finished. On the flip side, we definitely know that Erosa is capable of being finished, and Choi can crack. Choi can hit hard. And I do think he's going to hit Erosa hard, and I think he's going to hit him a lot, and I think there's a good chance that Erosa does get knocked out. So as far as DK goes, 8,600 for Choi, 7,600 for Erosa. I do like both sides here. I think this is going to be one of the more high-scoring fights on the card. I think it's going to be fast-paced. I think it's going to be a war, as are the majority of Julian Erosa fights. But what I really do like is going to be the under 2.5 rounds in this fight as well. So we'll take a look at it. Under 2.5 rounds, sitting at plus 130, plus 120. I don't hate that at all. I think I bet it as well at plus 120, and I don't hate it. If a fight doesn't go to decision, plus 100, plus 105, that's not bad as well. But what I'm really can't talk. What I'm really waiting for is going to be that Choi by knockout prop. I do not have access to it yet, but yeah, plus 345. I think there's a very solid chance that Choi does win by knockout here. Erosa, like I said, he's hittable. He has no chin. He's been knocked out a handful of times. Choi can crack. Choi can hit hard. Why is this plus 345? It makes no sense. And I kind of had a feeling they would open it up at a price like this. So I'm definitely waiting for, the FanDuel Sportsbook to hopefully hit us up with a good line here. Maybe like plus 400 Choi by knockout would be sweet, because I think there's a really solid chance that there's a knockout here. So I played the under, and I'll more than likely be putting a little bit on that Choi knockout prop as well. But yeah, if it goes to decision, I think it could be a little bit iffy for Choi just based off the volume. I think that in terms of the numbers, Erosa probably does outland him. Erosa just throws so much. But in terms of like landing the harder shots, landing the better looking shots, that'll go to Choi. So if it does go to decision, which I hope it doesn't, but I'm curious to see who the judges are going to favor there, whether it's the volume of Erosa or, the harder shots of Choi. So, but I do think it does end inside the distance. Seung gets the win. That was actually his only knockout loss in 20 fights. Do you expect a lot of finishes on this card? Vera Grant could also likely finish. I do. Last week we saw 11 decisions, I think. I think that kind of changes here. I see a lot of finishes for sure. Seems like a tough matchup for Erosa here. I do like Choi. Chance for inside the distance. Yeah, I think there's a pretty solid chance that he does knock him out. Erosa and Grant both on 2-fight win streaks coming into their 3rd consecutive fight as dogs. That is true. That is true. Love your show. You and Clint hopefully happens more often. Appreciate that, Walter. Appreciate the donation as well. Maybe Clint can come on this show sometime. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I was on Clint's show last night. I thought it went pretty well. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, Walter, and appreciate you for the donation. All right. We'll get to the next fight here, and we have a fight I'm really looking forward to. We have Marlon Vera going against Davey Grant, and everybody has a bet on Davey Grant this week besides me. We'll take a look at where the line's at right now. The line is absolutely moving on this one. I think it's probably the biggest line movement on the entire card, and I'm just sitting back and waiting. Where is it? Did they take it up? There it is. Okay, so I'm sitting back and waiting. Marlon Vera opened up minus 325 and is currently minus 200. Huge jump. And Davey Grant opened up plus 275, got down to plus 240, currently plus 170. So lots of money coming in on the Davey Grant side. As you guys know, Davey Grant did beat Marlon Vera 5.5 years ago, and he did, dominate that fight. I think it was 30-26s across the board. It's just, that was 5.5, almost 6 years ago. It is definitely a new Marlon Vera, a much improved Marlon Vera. And I think Davey Grant improved as well. I think Davey Grant's striking is much better. Davey Grant has been pulling it off as an underdog. He went out there, he got dropped by Martin Day, came back, beat Martin Day in that 3rd round. He went out there, got dropped by Jonathan Martinez, came back, knocked out Martinez in that second round. He's going to go out here against Marlon Vera, get dropped, and he's going to get submitted. So I do like Marlon Vera in this fight quite a bit. I'm just waiting for this line to come down. Minus 200 is very, very tempting, but I'm staying patient. I think more and more money is going to come in on the Davey Grant side. And I mean, I get it. I mean, we saw the first fight and how that played out. It's just that was, so long ago. That was Marlon Vera's like third fight in the UFC. Marlon Vera was like 22 or 23 at the time. It's a completely different Marlon Vera. But there are some props that I really do like. So some things to point out. Marlon Vera, when he goes to decision, he is 1-6. 1-6. So that kind of tells me, hey, if this fight goes to decision, there's a good chance that Davey Grant probably wins it. Probably wins that decision. So Davey Grant by decision is a crazy number, plus 465. That's crazy because that's probably how he wins. He's not knocking out Vera. That's impossible to do. He's not submitting Vera. Vera has never been submitted, never been knocked out, and he probably never will be. But yeah, Grant by decision, plus there's already money coming in on it. So I'm going to wait for FanDuel Sportsbook to open that up. If I can get Grant by decision at that plus 465 like it is on 5 times, I'm probably going to take that shot. Like I said, that's literally how he wins. But I do think Vera finishes him, which is plus 165, plus 170. It's not terrible. So I'll probably be playing Vera inside the distance along with that Grant decision prop. I think both have some extreme value there, but I'll be hitting the Vera inside the distance a little bit harder. But yeah, I do like Vera here. I think he does finish Grant. Grant's been knocked down a handful of times in the UFC. He hasn't been knocked out yet. He's never been knocked out, but it could happen here. Grant has lost by finish in all 4 of his losses, all 4 coming by submission. I think a Vera submission is definitely on the table, but I also think that Vera knockout's on the table. Vera by submission plus 500 wouldn't really go there because I think he can knock him out as well. So, like I said, if it goes to decision, there's a very good chance that Grant does win. It's just I think there's a finish in this fight, and I do think Marlon Vera does knock him out. But yeah, I mean, good luck to everybody with that dog taking on Grant. Some big dog numbers there you guys are getting. Plus, saw some people with plus 250, plus 225. There you go. Worth a shot. But for me personally, I'm on the other side. I used to be on Vera last time. Actually, the opposite this week. Yeah, I mean, Vera, his last 2 losses, Jose Aldo, no shame in that. And then Song Yadong in a fight that I thought he won. Cheetah Vera by decision. I hope not. I hope not. I think he finishes him. Cheetah Show, as long as Vera doesn't catch him with an opportunistic sub, I'm fairly confident Grant rolls. Yeah, as long as he doesn't sub him, as long as he doesn't hurt him on the feet, if he can survive 15 minutes, he wins the fight. We have Rogue Strummer in the chat. What's up, Rogue? How you doing? War Davey. People really betting Davey Grant. It's like some really sharp people too are betting Davey Grant. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it's because of the first fight. Maybe it's because Grant has been cashing as a dog against a Martin Day who went 0-5 in the UFC, or maybe a Jonathan Martinez. I don't know. But yeah, this is Cheetah. I think people forgot about Cheetah Vera. I mean, he lost his fight against Jose Aldo, but that's Jose Aldo. People forget that this guy at one point was on a 5-fight win streak, all by finishes. I think he reminds some people here. Would it be shocked if Grant won? Not really, but I really do think he gets a finish here. I think people overhype Jonathan Martinez, so now they're overcompensating here. Could be it, I guess, but Marlon Vera is nowhere near Jonathan Martinez. Jonathan Martinez is more of a decision guy. Marlon Vera is a killer. Marlon Vera has like a 90% finish rate. But yeah, I can't wait for the fight. I can't wait for the fight. It's going to be fun. What's up, Walter? Very confident with Vera. Yeah, I'm pretty confident as well, to be honest. I'm just waiting for that line to come down a little bit more. People really betting Grant. It's over for Davey Grant. No, a lot of people are betting Davey Grant. It seems like everybody is, which at plus 225, it's worth a poke. But if I was betting Grant, I'd probably just take the decision. I just don't see any other way you should be betting him. Like by decisions plus 465. Like if I was on Grant, I'd be on that line for sure. But could be wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe Grant does go out here and knock out Cheetah Vera for the first time. I don't know. But we have the co-main event. Sergey Spivak going against Aleksei Oleinik. A fight that I really don't want to see, but we're going to see it anyway. Aleksei Oleinik, 43 years old. He's going to be turning 44 the day after the fight, so on Sunday. And it's just almost impossible to pick Aleksei Oleinik at this point of his career. The guy has, I'll give him 4 minutes of gas, if that's being generous, 4 minutes of gas. Always has never had the best striking, has never had the best striking defense, has never had the best wrestling. But what he's really good at is he's really good at getting these opportunistic submissions. And I don't know. I mean, if Spivak comes out here, takes down Oleinik early in the first round, maybe he can get subbed. Maybe Oleinik pulls guard in the first round and Spivak, goes to the ground with him. Maybe that can happen. But other than, him like pulling guard, Spivak making a mistake, I mean, I really just don't see how Oleinik wins this fight. But, I mean, I like Spivak. I think Spivak's going to play it smart. At least you'd think. Keep it on the feet, at least for that first round. I think he has a striking advantage. I think he can outpoint him on that first round. And then after that first round, then you can start mixing in the takedowns here and there. Because Spivak does have good takedowns, good top control. He also has a very good submission game himself. It's just you do not want to go to the ground with Aleksei Oleinik, at least early. So, yeah, I like Spivak. It's just kind of hard to lay that, like the minus 230 for me. Because Oleinik's one of these guys that it's really hard to count him out. Like it's like a Paul Craig. It's really hard to count Oleinik out because he is very opportunistic and he can get a submission from pretty much anywhere. So yeah, we see Spivak minus 220. Looks like the line's actually coming down a little bit, which is interesting. So if that line actually comes down to like a little bit more, like if I can get like minus 200, which I won't really expect that, but it looks like the line's coming down. People are taking some shots on old man Oleinik. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate like a minus 200 on Sergey Spivak there. Maybe hedge it with Oleinik by first round submission. But yeah, I mean, I don't even want to look at any props here. You have the over 1.5, under 1.5 is minus 165. That's a lot to pay for an under here because I can easily see this going over. Spivak's not a guy with a ton of power. I can see him kind of extending the fight. I think he finishes it late in the fight, like the third round. So usually in a Oleinik fight, I'd bet the under, but I just don't feel comfortable doing that here. The fight doesn't go to decision, minus 550, which is completely unplayable. I would not touch that. But as far as props go, I don't know. Not really looking at anything for props, really. I mean, Oleinik by submission plus 325. Oleinik by in the first round plus 400. Oleinik by first round submission is plus 600. I mean, that's kind of how he wins, right? First round submission. I don't really see any other way. So if you're on Oleinik, maybe take a stab at that. Sergey Spivak in round 3 is plus 700. Sergey Spivak by round 3 KO is plus 750. Not good enough, at least on BetOnline. Maybe FanDuel Sportsbook will have some juicier props. Hopefully they get them out soon. But yeah, so I'm going to take Spivak. And I may bet him if the line does close down a little bit. At minus 230, I did not like it. But if it gets to like minus 200, minus 190, then I'll probably have to hop on there. Because he really should win. I mean, I'd be kind of surprised if old man Oleinik, 44 years old, pulled it off. We got the locker room. What's up, Mills? How you doing? What's up, DFS? Hopefully you're doing well, Mills. If I'm betting Grant, I'm taking it straight up. Oh, you think Grant could finish Cheeto? I just don't see it. I don't see it. For the record, I did bet Grant by decision. There you go. I don't hate it. Small bet, don't worry. No, even I might take a small bet at that, like plus 465. That's how he wins. I think that line's off. Shady Brady, 180. I like it. We got 2 cents in the chat. What's up, 2 cents? How you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. Oleinik first round. He has about a round. Like I'd be like extremely shocked if he won any other way outside of a first round submission. He just doesn't have the cardio. He does not have the cardio. This fight hurts my brain because Spivak has dropped no one in the UFC. Yeah, that's a red flag there, number one. He takes guys down and gets the KO. Yes, he does. But you really going to trust someone on the mat with this old tricky bastard? Yeah. Does he want to take down Oleinik? Or I can see an instance where he keeps it standing for 3 rounds and it goes to decision. So that's scary as well. But as far as, DK, yeah, Spivak is a very good play. I think he wins. I think he wins inside the distance. I think he does, probably mix in those takedowns at some point. It's going to be scary, but I do think he does it. And I do think he gets like a ground and pound victory. Is Spivak a fade or a must for DK? 9,200 isn't bad, but it's a little much. These are some good fights, matches. There's some other good fights on DK. I like him quite a bit, I'd say. I mean, he should really finish Oleinik. Oleinik's been knocked out 9 times. Oleinik's 44 years old. So I'd be kind of shocked if he did not finish him. And he did not mix in the takedown. So I think he can score well. What's up, Spencer? Brady Goated, best info around. Appreciate that, man. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Oleinik has 46 career subs. You really think he can get one here? Yeah, 46 career subs. Isn't that something to think about? I forget what you said, Weezy, on Sunday, but he has like 9 different submissions, something like that. 10 different submissions, which is crazy. I like Spivak a lot. I do as well. If you bet on Spivak, you're probably going to be sweating that first round, but after that, it should be good. Spivak could get a TKO. That's what I'm thinking. If he doesn't get memed, Ezekiel, yeah, that's a scary part of fighting Oleinik. Could be a good live bet after the first, especially if Aleksei wins the first round. Yeah, that could be. That could be. Maybe he can win the first round, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I might just bet Spivak if it does close down a little bit more. I don't really see why people are taking a shot on Oleinik. He's like 44. We've seen some old guys get beat lately. Oleinik has been into some wars. I'm not sure how much more damage he can take after the last war. Yeah, I'm curious to see how much longer he goes. The dude's been, like you said, he's been in like over 70 fights. He's been fighting since, I want to say he's been fighting since like 1997, 1996. That's insane. And he's still going. He's still going. All right, so we're about 46 minutes. Doing pretty good. Thank you all so much for hanging out. This card is not great, so I really do appreciate you guys hanging out on this card. Next week's card's a little bit better. And then we have Poirier McGregor coming up in a couple weeks as well, so that's something to look forward to. But yeah, we'll get to the main event here. Korean Zombie going against Dan Ige. Such a tough fight to call. I think from a DK perspective, I'm going to have both sides here. I think, with the price tags of 8,200, 8,000, I think you kind of got to. I think it's going to be a war. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff going on, a lot of strikes thrown, and I do think there's a good chance it does end up on the optimal lineup. If this was like a 15-fight slate or a 14-fight slate like we had last week, then I'd be a little bit hesitant to play this fight on DK because I don't really see many takedowns from either guy. But I do think, with all the volume, maybe some control time sprinkled in, I do think at the end of the day, it's probably enough to get in the optimal lineup. So I don't want to say I'm going like 100% own on this fight, but I will be pretty highly exposed. As far as, picking a side, really for me, flip a coin. I mean, Seung Jung, he just looks so bad in his last fight against Brian Ortega. It's just what makes it hard for me is, it was Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega is now fighting for a title. Brian Ortega made a ton of improvements his last fight. So I don't know if, Seung Jung, Korean Zombie is shot. I don't know if, it was more so because of the level of competition of an Ortega. So I don't know. So I'm going to play both sides here. I think I'm going to do slight lean on the Korean Zombie. I think he's more likely to get a finish in this fight. Very dangerous. Really high finish rate as well. Ige's never been finished though, but he's also never fought the Korean Zombie. So more on the Zombie side for me, but I'll have a decent amount of Ige. I think Ige can score pretty well on a win. But as far as picking a side, I'll go Zombie. And, even looking at the lines, like, I don't want to bet Zombie. If it goes to an underdog, I'll be tempted, but it's a pick 'em. I mean, flip a coin. Is Zombie, is it the same Zombie as we saw against, guys like Frankie Edgar, Yair Rodriguez, guys like that? Or is it a Zombie that is past his prime, is on his way out? But, as I mentioned in my prediction video, the move to Fight Ready, I think that's big. Fight Ready's been on an absolute roll. So that's something to mention. But yeah, it's a tough fight to call. So even like the props are tough to call because fight doesn't go to decision, -125. Fight goes to decision, -105. Like these guys are so tough. You have to absolutely kill the Korean Zombie to get him out of there. And as far as Dan Ige, he's never been finished himself. So I think it goes to decision, but it's going to be a war. I wouldn't want to really lay the -105, the -120. So even like from a prop perspective, I'm probably going to be passing here. I think they open up the knockout props. Ige by knockout +400. Ige or Zombie by knockout +225. I think they opened the knockout prop on FanDuel Sportsbook at something crazy. I want to say they opened it at like +375, +350, which at that point it's kind of tempting there. But yeah, +225, not good enough for me. But I will pick the Zombie to win. It should be a fun fight, a fight you're going to want to target on DraftKings. But as far as a betting perspective, I just can't go there. I think the majority of people are on Ige out there, which is kind of weird because we see the line kind of staying right where it's at. I don't really see a lot of love for Zombie. As far as, like picking, fighters goes, I see a lot of love for the Ige side, but we see the line kind of staying right around where it's at. So I don't know. Tough fight. Probably going to sit back and watch it, but it's hard to put money on it. It seems like one of those cards that's garbage for name value, but ends up being pretty interesting. Yeah, I was saying the same thing. Like, I think it's, on paper, it sucks. It's horrible. But I think, when it comes fight time, I think we see a lot of finishes, a lot of fun fights. Jimmy the Drunk throwing up some beer. There you go. I think Bruno Silva gets the KO Brady. Not sure how you got Wellington Turman. Maybe he gets a takedown, but still gets destroyed. Yeah, it's a 50-50 fight for me. Either Silva does get that knockout, which is very likely, or Turman's able to get that takedown and gets a submission, which is pretty likely as well. So 50-50. I'm probably going to take the under, so I'll be rooting for the Silva KO, but if it does go to the mat, I do think it gets subbed. But I think the under is probably the way to go. You do a breakdown on PFL this Thursday? I mean, maybe. I think there's some fights I could do a breakdown on. Probably not the whole card, but there probably are some fights. I do know some of the fighters. I watched it again. I think Ortega just had a really good game plan. Yeah, and somebody else mentioned it on my prediction video earlier today. Ortega hurt Zombie really bad. What was in that second round? That second round, and ever since then, ever since he got hurt in that second round, he did not look great for the rest of the fight. So that could also been a thing as well. But yeah, he did look like didn't look like the same Korean Zombie. I think I have Dan Ige in the main event. It's still a tricky one. I mean, Ige has fought the more matches. Yep, we haven't seen Jung in a long while, but I don't hate the Korean Zombie either. It's a tough fight to call. It's a pick him for a reason. Ige has been hurt a few times, though. Very true. Could get hurt and stick his neck into a darce. Very true. It could happen. I got all my parlays ending with Ige. I think the mileage has caught up with Jung. It could have. It very well. It looked like it in the last fight. It's just I don't really want to write him off after one performance. I kind of made that mistake for Ponzinibbio. I thought Ponzinibbio looked terrible against the Leech, and boy did he prove me wrong. He still has something left in the tank. Ige inside the distance for the win. Yeah, that'd be crazy if he finished Zombie. That'd be huge if he finished Zombie. Smash the like. I agree. Let's get those likes up. We really appreciate that. Zombie is going to look like a steal come Monday. It very well could, because we got to remember, like, Zombie was minus 200 in his last fight against Ortega, and now he's a pick him against Dan Ige. Like, that's just crazy to say out loud. So you're right. It could look like a steal. You said Brian is fighting for a title. Yes, he is, but he doesn't deserve to be. He's coming off one win and got destroyed by Max before. You could argue that, I guess. But boy, did he look good, so maybe that's why they gave it to him, because he looked so good. But you're right, he did get destroyed by Max. I think Ortega, Korean Zombie, is going to be Korean Zombie's Gaethje Tony all downhill from here. Could be done. Yeah, I thought that about Ponzi too. Good point. I mean, yeah, I'm going to give Zombie one more chance. I'll give him one more chance here. If he looks bad again, Ige beats him, and it's probably over for Zombie. Like, this is a fight that he really, really should win. But he could be shot. DFS, you're right. Ortega had a much better game plan. Korean Zombie wasn't expecting the way he fought against him. I remember that one. Yep, I think it did catch him off guard a little bit, and like, that was the best Ortega's ever looked. So we have about 5 minutes left. I'll quickly go through some DraftKings stuff, and then we'll talk some betting real quick. All right, so for DraftKings, what I'm really liking is, first of all, the main event. Going to be exposed to both sides. I think there's a good chance it's an optimal. I like Spivak quite a bit. Even like Oleinik as a pump play is not terrible. I think the Erosa Choi fight is something very important to have. Both sides there for me. I think Bruno Silva Turman is a must-have. I think it's either a Silva knockout or a Turman sub. Other than that, I think K-More, I'm not going to have much K-More. Jandiroba Murata is another fight where I think it's, just about close to a must-have. Chaos Williams, Semmelsberger, good fight to target. Procopio Neal could be good to target. I really do like Procopio at 8,500. But as far as pump plays go, there's a lot of pump plays that really do stick out. And last week, the pump plays destroyed. I don't expect nothing like that. But as far as pump plays, I think Nicolau could be, throw him in a couple lineups. Maybe he does surprise a lot of people. I think it was Jack that mentioned he's training with some very, very good fighters. Matt Brown, always a pump play that's live for a finish. Oleinik, always a pump play that's live for a finish. So, guys like that. As far as betting goes, not touching the main event, I'm going to keep waiting on that line for Spivak. If that line comes down a little bit more, like minus 200, minus 190, I'll take a shot. Because honestly, I was tempted to like max bet him at first, but after looking into it, I kind of got off him a little bit. But yeah, minus 190, I wouldn't hate that. Silva Turman, looking at the under. I had the under in Means and Roberts. Lima Brown looking at the under there as well. Erosa Choi looking at the under there as well. And I think Choi's live for that knockout, which is a plus 345. I don't have access to that line, but hopefully FanDuel gets that out soon. I'll be probably hitting that. Marlon Vera Grant, I'm going to keep waiting. If I can get Grant at a better price than minus 200, even like minus 200 tempts me, but looking to play Vera there. I know a lot of people are on Grant. Best of luck to you, but I'm going the other way. I like Vera inside the distance. I also like Grant by decision at that crazy price tag, a plus 465, which I do not have access to. But again, waiting for FanDuel Sportsbook. Kmore, Nikolai, don't bet that fight. Murata, Jandiroba, I'm looking at Jandiroba by submission. Hoping to get it at like plus 300 on FanDuel Sportsbook when they open it. If you like Murata, probably decision prop. William Semmelsberger, looking at maybe Williams straight, minus 155. It's tempting. Or even like Williams by knockout, plus 125. That's not horrible as well. I think he does finish Semmelsberger. I mean, you got to remember, like Semmelsberger, like 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, he got finished by an 0-0 guy. An 0-0 guy. Parisian, kind of tempted to bet him straight as well. I mean, this is such a level fight, but I don't get this line. I don't get it. I think Parisian should be a much bigger favorite. Unless I'm like completely missing something, unless I'm completely off, I don't get this line. So minus 120, that's tempting. Over 1.5 is probably a good look, but it's too juiced now for me. Silva Glenn, no thank you. O'Neal, Procopio, I do have Procopio straight minus 121. So that's what I'm kind of looking at for betting. I want to really pick my spots this week. This card's tough. This card's hard. I don't want to get too invested in it. I think there's much better spots next week, but there are some spots that really do stick out as far as, props go. I think there's a lot of violence this week, and the line movement's very interesting on this one. If you do like, guys like Vera, guys like Spivak, I kind of sit back and wait and see where that line goes. Maybe we'll get a better line. Ige is going to knock out Zombie. That would be crazy, huh? Ige is a beast that beat Barbosa, and he will finish Zombie. I mean, you might want to go back and watch a Barbosa fight. It was very, very close. I bet Ige in that fight, and I thought he lost, to be honest. Big Jack and Big Brady, what is up? What's going on? Tough card to cap. I agree. So, yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I had a decent amount of people in here for how bad the card is, to be honest. But as always, really do appreciate you guys hanging out, talking the fights. So I have my live stream Friday on my channel, DFS by the Numbers, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time as well. We're going to talk some weigh-ins, and the weigh-ins are going to be very important this week. We have not seen a lot of these guys in 2 or 3 years, so weigh-ins are going to be number one important thing. So that's kind of why I'm waiting, sitting back on a lot of these plays here. I do want to see the weigh-ins, and going live 1 hour prior to the fights on Saturday. The boys will be live on Saturday for the fights as well. What else do I got? Yeah, I mean, just, subscribe to the channel. We just hit 7K subscribers on there. This is awesome. Awesome milestone to hit. Next step is going to be 10K. 10K hopefully coming in the very near future. Also, leave a like. One small like always goes a long way. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Jeff, good stuff. Brady, peace. Good luck to you, Jeff, this weekend. I know Jeff's been killing the soccer as well. So hopefully keep that going, Jeff. See you Friday, Melon. Appreciate you for stopping by, Rogue. So, yeah, that's about it, guys. Good luck. If you have any questions, you can hit me up. But, yeah, let's kill it on UFC